Hi and welcome to Oceania Weekly. I'm Stephanie Greenfield. Auckland Council has approved high-level plans for up to 34,500 new houses around Drury and Pukekohe over the next 30 years. Broad plans for the two areas approved by the Council's Planning Committee also provide for new town centres near the Drury village east of the Southern Motorway and on State Highway 22 near Jesmond Road west of the motorway. They allow for 22,000 new homes in the Drury Pukekohe area. This includes the land west of the motorway, plus another 12,500 homes in undeveloped areas around the edges of Pukekohe and Pairata. Both new blocks are zoned future urban, and development will be phased in over the next 30 years after the current developments further south of Drury and on the Wesley College site at Pairata. The ANZ has warned that the Reserve Bank's big cut rate will hurt savers more than it will benefit mortgage holders, with deposit rates likely to fall. All 5 major banks have announced cuts to home loan and saving rates in the wake of the Reserve Bank's official cash rate cut. The Reserve Bank of New Zealand slashed the cash rate by 50 basis points to 1%. ASB was the first bank to move on cutting its home loan and saving rates, but it has since been joined by Westpac, BNZ, Kiwi Bank and ANZ. ASB's variable home loan interest rate will fall from 5.7 to 5.2%, and its revolving credit Orbit home loan will drop from 5.75 to 5.3%. Those changes will come in for new customers from the 14th of August and the 21st of August for existing customers. ANZ lowered the interest rates on its floating and flexible home loans by 0.5%, from 5.69 to 5.19%. Thousands of dairy farmers will soon be given the accurate picture of their farm's greenhouse gas emissions. In a New Zealand first, Fonterra will provide a unique emissions profile to each of its farmers from next spring. The profile will help farmers understand the sources of greenhouse gas emissions on their farms and what action can be taken to cut them. Research has shown farmers had a low understanding of emissions sources, with a study last year finding 98% didn't know their emissions and more than 40% didn't know how to mitigate them. Although the New Zealand dairy sector is one of the lowest emissions producers of milk in the world, the industry still contributes about 25% of the country's total greenhouse gas emissions. Trans-Tasman relations are facing a new threat, with Australian politicians moving to tighten up the deportation policy that has already led to hundreds of people being sent back to New Zealand. A rule change in late 2014 meant non-citizens sentenced to a year in prison could be sent back to their home country. Due to the relaxed visa rules between New Zealand and Australia and the resulting migration that occurs between the two countries, the policy disproportionately affects New Zealanders. A Canberra-based political reporter for SBS, Rosemary Bolger, said the policy has been a point of contention between the two countries since its introduction. This could be made worse if proposals seeking to strengthen the policy go through. Aucklanders will have more outside space to enjoy after the council rezoned 233 hectares of land as public open space. Auckland Mayor Phil Goff said in a statement that as the city grows, we need more and better public open space for Aucklanders to enjoy. The decision today adds considerably to our parks, conservation areas and public open spaces. Over the same period, less than 1 hectare of public open space has been disposed of. The decision was also made to proceed with the plan change to rezone 619 Oruarangi Road from future urban development. Auckland Mayor Phil Goff has promised to plant 1.5 million native trees around the city over the next 3 years as part of his re-election campaign. He said the environmental policy aims to make Auckland the greenest city in the country. More than 1 million trees have already been planted as part of Goff's Million Trees program. This was one of Goff's key policies during his 2016 mayoral election campaign. And thanks to the hard work of the council staff, community groups, the Department of Corrections, mana whenua and the public, they have exceeded that number. Goff said that during the next term of council, at least 1.5 million more native trees and plants will be planted all over Auckland. The Kaipatiki Local Board has just approved a new recreational wharf design, enabling it to proceed to consenting and construction later in the year. The wharf project will rebuild damaged parts of the wharf, including its piles, while retaining its heritage style and charm. The project will also include building a new floating pontoon platform connected by a gangway to enable safer fishing and diving at its end. The wharf will gain improved timber piles, sleeved in high-density polyethylene. This will reduce future worm attack and rot, making them last longer. New safe handrails and visitor seating will also be installed as part of the works. Physical works are expected to begin in December and be completed by the end of March 2020. Visitors from Japan, a mainstay of Korea's tourism industry, are expected to go elsewhere amid an escalating spat between the two countries. One travel agency in Seoul said the number of Japanese requests for information about a trip to Korea for the first week of August plummeted nearly 80% on year. There have been almost no inquiries since the Japanese Foreign Ministry issued a travel advisory for Korea on the 4th of August. Bookings for travel to Korea for September through to November are fewer than half of previous years. Reports in the Japanese media about the typically robust Korean protests have scared many travellers off, even if they have no particular feelings about the substance of the dispute. As Korea's birth rate has dropped to one of the world's lowest, obstetric clinics and kindergartens are also disappearing at a rapid pace. According to a report released by the Ministry of Health and Welfare, the total number of kindergartens nationwide at the end of last year was 39,171, down from 43,742 in 2014. And the figures keep shrinking to stand at 37,589 kindergartens in June this year, a decrease of over 1,500 in just 6 months. Obstetric clinics have also been hit hard. According to the Health Insurance Review and the Assessment Service, the number of obstetric clinics nationwide dropped from 1,628 in 2009 to 1,311 last year. Now we're going to cross over to Voice of America.
Just a typical morning in Japan, where a robot barista brews the world's favorite liquid motivation.
If customers are entertained, they are happier. That is why we made this robot.
Masahiro Kano runs Qubit Robotics, a company that builds machines that interact with humans in fields like entertainment and food service. He says the technology comes at a critical time for Japan.
We have problems like a decreasing birth rate, an aging population, and employment shortages as a result. In order to help with these problems, we created this robot. We also hope to spread our technology to the rest of the world.
Customers order drinks at a kiosk, and the robo-barista does it all, from prep work to cleaning filters. It can make a few more drinks, but coffee is the star. Kano says the robot uses artificial intelligence to improve service.
The AI captures data on the expressions of the customers and what they buy. Using this data, he tries to find ways to improve sales by keeping customers entertained.
The barista flirts a bit, winking and smiling from behind its work desk.
It's very funny, I think. Funny, and it's a new experience. Yes, it's interesting.
Visitors say the coffee's not too bad either.
The aspect of the desk is a little bit strange because the robot looks like a human being. That's a little bit strange. But for the coffee, I guess it's pretty good.
Qubit Robotics says it looks to sell around 300 robot baristas by 2021. The company currently focuses on beverages, but says it hopes to soon manufacture similar machines to make food like ramen and curry. Arasha Abasadi, VOA News, Washington.
Thank you for joining us here at Oceania Weekly. I'll see you next week.